Hey guys, it is Super War Adam, and dying and downing is a massive part of COD Zombies. Every time you play, you'll probably end up downing or dying a bunch, but there are some really annoying ways that can happen here in BO4. So today, I'll be going over 10 of the worst ways to die in BO4 Zombies. So on my last sound quiz, I give you guys what I think is the easiest sound I have done so far, and the correct answer was summoning the Challenger on IX to collect the PAP pieces. So congrats to literally all of you who got that sound right. Now, let's jump into today's sound quiz, and I promise you this one is going to be a lot harder. That sound is definitely a big 360 from our previous sound quiz, so good luck to all of you with that sound right there. Also, comment what you guys think is the most annoying and just the worst way to die here in BO4 Zombies. And of course, if you're new here, hit that sub button if you are subbed. Make sure notifications turned on, and besides that, let's jump into the first of the 10 most annoying and frustrating ways to die here in BO4 Zombies. The first thing on my list, and one of the most frustrating and maybe one of the more rare ways to die here in BO4 Zombies, is by the Blightfather's tongue. I think I've maybe died by this like 2 or 3 times in BO4 Zombies so far. It's something that won't happen all the time, just because getting out of that grip of the tongue is pretty easy, especially if you have ammo, but there are those rare scenarios where you have no ammo, or maybe you have like an LMG that is a really slow reload, and by the time you go and shoot him, he already has you right there and he's damaging you, and you end up dying. Or maybe you're going to buy ammo and he grabs you as you're running. It can happen, and when it does happen, it is one of the most frustrating things here in BO4 Zombies. So we just talked about one that is very uncommon, it's rare, it's something you won't experience every single game. This next one is one you can definitely experience every single time you play IX, and that is getting killed by the fire in the spawn room. This is one of those things that I think we all expect to happen eventually when playing IX, because sometimes you just cannot avoid the fire. You might be like really low health and you can only go in one direction, and that is through the fire. And even though we know what's gonna happen, when it does happen, it is really frustrating. For those of you that don't know though, there is a counter to the fire in the spawn room on IX and even the PAP room as well, and that is to do a side Easter egg. Now, for the side egg, you have to do 3 things. The first one is to slide under the blade trap. The next thing is to get each type of catalyst kill with the blade trap and the acid trap. And it doesn't sound that bad, but man, it's tedious. It can take sometimes 25-30 rounds to kill each type of catalyst zombie, especially those napalm zombies who are really slow. So sometimes waiting 25-30 rounds just to take no damage from the fire trap is too much, and you have to accept taking those frustrating downs on IX. Next up, in our number 8 spot, we have the dogs on Classified and Blood of the Dead, at least for now. Maybe we'll have dogs on future Ether maps in BO4, but right now, only on Classified and Blood. And the thing about dogs is they are so easy that sometimes we don't take them seriously enough. For those of you who play a lot of BO4 Zombies, you've all been in those situations where we just underestimate dogs, especially when you're playing a game of like 4 players, when you have a ton of dogs that can spawn in. And I do it all the time where I think, it's not too bad, it's just a dog round, and all of a sudden I get swarmed by like 30 dogs and I end up downing. It sucks when it happens, but you know what? It's something that we all experience. In our number 7 spot, we have the exploding fire zombies, and this is one of those things that you might not die because of the fire zombie itself, but you might die because you took damage from an exploding fire zombie and then something else killed you, because the fire zombie explosion does a ton of damage. There are always situations where there's a fire zombie that we just cannot not avoid. He might be, you know, on a staircase on IX, or he might be in a hallway on Dead of the Night, and you have to run through that one area. He explodes, takes down half your health, and all of a sudden a tiger hits you, or a vampire zombie grabs you, and all of a sudden you're dead. So that is something that happens a lot, but actually dying from the explosion is very uncommon unless you run into like 3 fire zombies at once, which is something that can happen, but for the most part, the fire zombie is always getting the assist when something else kills you. Next up, in our number 6 spot, we are heading back to IX, or 9, whatever you want to call it, and this is one that I would still say is a pretty rare occurrence, and that is getting killed by the gladiator's throwing axe. Just to be clear, I'm talking about the axe when he actually throws it, not like a close quarter axe swing. It's when he actually takes it and chucks it at you. And the thing about IX is there are a lot of times where you have 50 health or a 1 hit because of tigers, blight fathers, whatever it might be on that map. Of course, the fire as well. I find there's a lot of times where you have only 50 health, and that's when the axe comes in and, you know, ends your day. And it's happened to me, not a ton, but when it does happen, man, it just sucks. Coming in at our number 5 spot, we are staying on IX, and this time we are talking about the Brawler's quick melee attack. And this is something that is glitched. It's something that's been glitched since the release of BO4, and it's still an issue. And this problem is when the brawler isn't even facing you, he does his melee attack, and you end up getting hit and dying. I'm sure this has happened to pretty much all of you who have played IX or play a lot of IX. It's something that is so frustrating because what's worse than dying when it's not your fault and you know you shouldn't have died? That's pretty much like a huge part of COD Zombies. And with the brawler, that melee attack is vicious. He can down you literally in like 2 seconds. And it sucks when it's a glitch, and it just sucks when it happens, like, legitimately as well. Coming in at our number 4 spot, you probably could have guessed that this was going to be on my list, and that is getting killed by the vampires on Dead of the Night. Now, I have played recently, or after the update where they nerfed the spawn rate of these guys, and honestly, it doesn't really feel all that different. There are still a good amount of vampires every single round, or every single normal round, and it just really sucks getting killed by these guys because they are so quick. There are so many of them, and I think the worst thing out of everything is when they do hit you, you get that red pulse on your screen, which makes you feel like you're going to down when you actually aren't, and it really messes with your head. Now, there are a couple of ways you can play to counter these guys. The first one is just to camp with the Chaos Theory or Alistair's Annihilator. The next one is to make sure you always have a shield when you're running around the map. But with these guys, since they're so quick and they hit you so fast as well, they wreck your shield so quickly. So if you don't have a shield for 1 round and it's like round 25, you'll probably down. In our number 3 spot, we are sticking with Dead of the Night, and this time we have the Crimson version of the vampires. This is the red devil zombie that spawns in during the Alistair's Annihilator Easter egg step. And of course, if you don't do that step, he'll spawn in like round 35 plus. And this guy is so incredibly annoying. He is pretty much like the denizens of BO4 zombies. Having him jump on your face and take out a massive chunk of your health is so annoying. Now, of course, if you have full health when he attacks you, no big deal. But if you are like a 2-hit from downing and he jumps on you, it's an instant down. In our number 2 spot, we are heading over to Classified, and this is downing in the Nova Crawler Gas, or because of the Nova Crawler Gas. Now, if you're camping on this map, it's not really a big deal, but if you're playing with, let's say, 4 players, and kind of each player is doing their own thing, being in the lab and then having to run through this gas, or having this gas explode at your feet, can easily cause you to down. The weird thing about the Nova Gas here in BO4 Zombies is that it's so much stronger than it was in previous zombie modes. So in BO1, it was pretty much nothing, and even in BO3 when they remastered Kino, it was not a big deal, but here in BO4, it literally feels like you're getting hit by a concussion grenade from Blackout, and if you're in the wrong area at the wrong time, like round 20 plus in the labs, you'll probably end up downing because of this stuff. So here we are in the #1 spot, and I know all of you have experienced this down before, and that is downing when trying to pap. Personally, I'm not all that crazy about having to pap your gun 5 times to achieve max damage, and there are so many times where I just want to stay there and pap my gun, you know, those 5 times to get max damage, and I'll end up downing and then losing my gun because I'm trying to pap it. Papping your gun mid-round here in BO4 on any map is really difficult, and there are always times we're playing a game of solo and we just want to pap our gun, or you're playing co-op and someone to leave a zombie and you want to pap that gun all the way, and you try to do it mid-round, you think you can pull it off, and you end up downing and you end up losing that weapon. It is hands down one of the most annoying and frustrating ways to down here in BO4 Zombies. There you have it, guys. Those are 10 of the worst ways to die here in Black Ops 4 Zombies. Let you guys know in the comments below, what do you guys think is the worst way to die here in BO4? And besides that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.